Yeah, we're going to be talking about the BombBomb method today, which is really exciting. We teased it a little bit just a couple of months ago on our Saving Time with Video session. And we actually got so many really great responses. I remember one of the responses that stuck out to me when we were talking about the BombBomb method. Someone had said in chat that I've been a customer for years, and finally this all like clicked and made sense when we were talking about the BombBomb method, and we just teased it like this much. And so
that's the beautiful thing about this is it's great for if you've been using it forever or haven't been using it forever, and it's great if you're brand new. So for those of you that are going, oh, I don't even know what this is, somebody else signed me up or whatever, don't worry. I promise this is going to be a really great space for you to get started as well.
Yeah. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about the numbers, because the BombBomb method is not just some like thing that we made up and are like, oh, this is so cool, we're just going to teach it to everyone now. The BombBomb method actually came out of a process that we actually implemented with a team to see the success. And so I'm going to share with you some of the numbers that they saw. And then we're just going to get into the BombBomb method. Okay. The BombBomb method has 7 steps. It's primarily 2 parts. We have resources for you after today as well. We're going to send this out, but guess what? We have an entire blog post on the BombBomb method. We have a podcast episode on the BombBomb method, and we have a 1-pager cheat sheet PDF on the BombBomb method. So we're going to drop all those links at the end so that you can go back and reference them. And then of course, we're going to take some time for questions. But like I said, we're going to start with the numbers. Kevin, I know you and we've both been here a very long time at BombBomb, and we hear comments from people all the time about either it just not working for them, or, it breaks my heart when I have people come up to me on the road, like on a trade show floor, and be like, yeah, I tried video, before, but it didn't really work. Like, well, what do you mean it didn't work? Like, did you not get a reply? Did you not win $1 million? Did you only send one video and that person, like, what do you mean it didn't work? What are some of the things you hear from people?
Oh my gosh. That generic response of, oh yeah, I didn't use it enough, or it didn't work for me, or it wasn't successful, are very much the generic things that come up. It's so funny. Literally, as you were saying this, we got a Q&A from John who says, hey, I've signed up with BombBomb, but I really haven't used it yet, right? This is definitely, I think, one of the big issues is that people sign up very excited about what video can be, whether they've heard about it from other people, whether they've seen stuff that we are putting out, success stories, stats like what you're seeing on the screen. I think what is one of the really big hurdles that I have heard working on the customer success side is it's that habit forming element. I think no matter what industry you're in, whether you're in sales or real estate or mortgage or auto, we could list them all. There are a million softwares that are coming at you all the time saying, this is going to change your business. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And it feels like you're given a curveball every 5 seconds. So I think there's almost this element for all of us where we go, at some point, I'm just going to do what I know works, and I'm just going to just cancel out all of the noise. The hard part is then you miss the good stuff too, right? Totally. So that's why I think this BombBomb method is so powerful, and why it was as effective as it was for this team is because it helps with that habit forming element. Have you ever heard, I don't know the exact days, so I'm never somebody that's going to throw out fake stats because I'm just going to make it up on the fly. But it's something along the lines of, in order to build a habit, it takes like 18 days of consistency to do that. I could be wrong on that exact number, but it's somewhere in that like 3-week range. That was surprising to me when I first heard it, because that feels like, oh man, it's going to take me that long for this to become a routine for me. Well, guess what? How many people actually hop into their BombBomb account once a day for the first 3 weeks they use it? Not very many, right? Now, I do want to assure you, and Alicia, I'm sure you're going to touch on this as well, you don't need to record and send 21 videos to start to see the power of this. We have stats that it shows that you really need much less. But ultimately, what I'm kind of framing here is this idea of, I think a lot of people out there, and you probably relate to this as you signed up for this webinar, is this idea of, I need help. I just need help in, how do I think about this? Where do I put this in my business? Where is it the most effective? Because that's different for everybody, and it can feel very overwhelming. And guess what we do when we're overwhelmed?
And that's the most important piece, right? Is that the BombBomb method, as we get into this here real soon, you're going to see this is all about you identifying the places in your business where people are stuck from moving on to the next step, and us helping you identify those places so that you can communicate in a better way to get them over that hurdle. Last thing I just want to say, and then we're going to actually talk about these specific numbers, is again, I've been here at BombBomb for over 8 years. I've spent years and years on the road, which means I've got to have tons and tons of face-to-face conversations with our actual fans, right? With the people that love us, with the people that use us all the time, with the people that say, I would never get rid of my BombBomb account. And anecdotally, one of the things that we've really, really seen from people over the years is that the people that use their BombBomb account consistently never want to give it up because they see such a big impact. You see it in the chat. If you're watching the chat, there's people talking about in the chat how they've been using BombBomb for 10 years. People are still amazed. We use BombBomb every day in our internet department at our dealership, John Vance Auto Group, right? The people that use BombBomb consistently never want to give it up. The people that cancel their BombBomb accounts are the people that never figured out how to be consistent as part of their communication. So that's what this is all about. So here's some numbers. And again, these numbers came specifically from our team implementing the BombBomb method with a large enterprise team, right? Prescribing. And this is what they saw. Okay, 70% fewer touches to generate an initial lead response. Think about the amount of time that you or your salespeople spend chasing people to just get a response. Okay, 70% fewer touches. A 2x improvement in response rate in cold outbounding campaigns, a 65% increase in lead conversion when a video was played in the nurturing sequence. A 65% increase. That's a massive lift. And we were able to track that data specifically, that when someone pressed play on that video in the nurture sequence, it increased that conversion rate by 65%, okay? And then this last one, a 90% greater ability, or 90% report a greater ability to stay in touch over the long term. How many of you rely on businesses or are in a business where you rely on repeat and referral customers? I'd venture to say it's about 85% of you, 90% on here, right? So that ability to stay in touch over the long term as well, all through this BombBomb method. Okay. You look like you had something to say there, Kevin.
I think those stats really bring up, they're wonderful stats. And I think it shows the power of how this can be used everywhere. It also sort of brings up the problem that we're trying to address today of it can work everywhere. So where do I use it? Right? Correct. How do I find this spot? And I think it's interesting. A lot of times people, even when I was in sales, Alicia, you can probably relate to this, would go, where should I use it? Where's it going to be the most effective? Yeah. And the hard part is that's different for everyone. And so I think I was just kind of getting excited. That's probably what you sensed in me, is we're going to try to give you this formula where you can figure out those moments for your business, because your business is personal to you. We can tell you a lot of different use cases. We can tell you what to say and give you scripts, but it's not you. It starts to lose that personalization. And so I think that's just what this kind of reminded me of as you're going.
So we're going to do a quick review, or maybe this is your first introduction to the bow tie funnel before we jump into the method. And there's a method to my madness. Okay. If you are familiar with a traditional sales funnel, usually a traditional sales funnel looks like a funnel. It starts at the top, right? That prospect awareness, education, selection, and that sales funnel usually ends at that peak where people commit to buy. But this bow tie funnel actually came from Jocko van der Kooi from Winning by Design? I think. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to get my quotes wrong here, but this bow tie funnel actually came from them because, again, how many of you, your business is reliant on the long-term life cycle of those customers, right? On bringing them on them continuing to come back, on the impact and the growth and all of that, them referring out, them coming back to you again. And so the bow tie funnel is a lot more effective because this maps all along your customer journey. Now, whether you are in mortgage or real estate or insurance or software sales, some of these points along the funnel, you may call it something different, but it still is essentially the same bow tie, right? It starts where people, with their awareness of you, as you move them through being able to educate them on what value you have, either your product or service, the selection process, and then the long-term life cycle, going back out with an opportunity for them to keep referring people and coming back. Okay. So that's the bow tie funnel. We're going to come back to it, but this is just a way to map the life cycle of a client. Okay. Hope that makes sense to everyone. So let's get into the BombBomb method. Part 1 of the BombBomb method starts with your business assessment. Okay. Now, if you want to start taking notes while we're going through this, I would recommend, I think that's a great way to retain things. Again, we will send out the deck, or we will send out the recording so that you'll have a chance to watch it again. But the very first part of the BombBomb method is listing out your key stakeholder groups. Who are the people that your business relies on? Now, for a lot of you, right, I have these top couple mapped out from like that acquisition to the customer stage, right? For a lot of you, you've got leads, right, or prospects that then become clients or customers. So that's, I can guarantee you, almost all of you, that's probably one of your stakeholder groups. Let's say, for example, you are a real estate agent and you have a team that you're trying to recruit for. Okay. Well, that means that some of your stakeholders are also probably recruits, right? A target recruit. And then on that other side of the funnel, they become the team member. If you're in lending, right, you might have one of your stakeholder groups. Obviously, you've got leads and customers, right? You've got that stakeholder group, but you've got your referral partners, your potential strategic partners versus an agent that's actively referring clients to you. If you're in the nonprofit world, right, your key stakeholders are going to be donors, things like that. So that's the very first step here, is that you've got to list out your key stakeholder groups. List them all. Okay. List internally the people that in your internal teams or whatever. There's nothing wrong with listing out all of the people that your business relies on for them being able to, you communicate to them and you moving them through a cycle. Anything you feel like I'm missing there, Kevin?
No, I don't think you're missing anything other than I was going to basically say what you just finished with of go big, start big with this list. Don't feel like you need to rule anybody out for any reason, because I think what you'll start to realize is you'll start to see the ones that are probably the more obvious ones, right? Lead or prospect is one that will be on nearly everyone's list, right? A referral partner is probably on a lot of people's lists, the repeat business, people coming back and those sort of things. But what's really interesting is I think as you start to get into those smaller aspects, the smaller stakeholder groups, you'll start to see a lot of potential and going, oh, interesting. I only have a few of these right now, but that may lead me to an opportunity that I can grow a lot in my business. So again, this is all going to be very, very personal to each of you as you're working through this. Some of you are going to go, leads and prospects are my number one thing. I am leaning in, and that's where video is going to fit once you start listing this out. Other people will go, I want to keep that consistent and I want to grow other areas. The beauty of this is it gives you the ability to start to think through these things. And the more holistically you start to focus on your business, the better understanding you're going to have of where is business coming from, where can I grow, where can I make those decisions. And I think ultimately that's this first step, is understanding your business. Yep. And then starting to determine where can I start to focus more.
Interesting question from Megan that I just saw pop there in chat. She said, what if you're a wholesaler that sells to a third party? Their customers are ultimately my clients too, but the third party sometimes blocks the value of my distinct message. Well, Megan, those are two different groups of stakeholders, right? So the people that you're selling to through the third party, that's one group of stakeholders, and their customers are another group of stakeholders. So as we start to map these things, you're going to be able to see maybe where there's some points of friction in each of those stakeholder groups and where you might be able to use video to move that along for both stakeholder groups. Okay, so Step 2 for the BombBomb method is to list out the moments that matter for each stakeholder group. Okay. Now, what do you mean? The moments that matter? I want you to start thinking about these moments that matter in 2 different ways. Okay. Number 1, where are the places of friction or failure in the process? Okay. Like, where do people slow down or stop moving forward with you? Where are you seeing that happen? Right? Is it after they fill out a lead form on your website? Right? You get tons of people at the top of your funnel filling out lead forms, but not very many scheduling an appointment. Okay. Well, that's a place of friction or failure, right? Where are they having questions or concerns or confusion? Where is there a lack of clarity? Okay. So any of those points, right, where they could be feeling some like friction. So that's one way to think about the moments that matter. Okay. The second way that you can also start thinking about the moments that matter, right, throughout a customer's journey are what are the points of human value? So friction or failure, number 1, where are people getting confused? Where do they drop off, right? Where are you having to spend extra time? And also, where are those human value points, the personal connection, right? Like if you haven't met someone face to face before, or you haven't seen them in a while and you're trying to re-engage them, well, that's a really high point of human value, that personal connection piece. Tone and emotion. We talk about these all the time. Thank you. Good job. Happy birthday. Congratulations. Ooh, I have a concern on the file here. Those are points of human value. Anytime tone or emotion can really matter. And then detail or complexity, answering questions, right? Using the screen recorder. Those are moments of human value if you need to explain something complicated, right?
I think these are so interesting because as I'm sitting here even reading about this, and of course, this is something we've talked about and thought about a lot, Alicia, but really it's 2 different ways to get to the same points. I think you're going to find that a lot of the points that could use more human value are your points of friction and failure because of the lack of human value. I mean, I am thinking about customers that I've talked with all the time that were like, I used to have to go back and forth 15 times at this moment because it was confusing, because there was not clarity in that moment. And I realized I could start to do a screen record video and give them all of those answers right away. And it saved me a ton of time in that moment.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. It's kind of that, where does your mind go? Do you work off of like the pain or gain mentality? Do I work off the struggle, the negative, the friction, the failure? Is that what really stands out to me? Or is it the positive, wow, I could really take this up? There's no right or wrong.
Yeah,
it's just the brains work in different, unique ways. And so it's really interesting to think through that.
Well, and you, all of you, you're the only person that actually knows your specific life cycle of a client, right? Like I can estimate what it is based on my experience and my wisdom of the various businesses that we work in, but only you know exactly what those moments are in your business that really matter to move people along. So again, I bring you back to the bow tie funnel so that you can identify these moments. All right. And you're going to list these out for each stakeholder. Okay. So if you are a lender, then you're going to list this out for your clients, your potential clients to a client, as well as for maybe your referral partners, your realtors, because they have different moments across that life cycle that matter, right? Maybe a client, if you're in lending, a moment that might really, really matter is at that beginning of you being able to educate them on why you're different, right? But if it's a realtor, that moment where you might be having friction or where there's not enough, humanity in those moments could be further down, right? Maybe you're really good at getting realtors like into your network and everyone loves to be your friend, but like 6 months down the road, they stop referring because you're not doing a good job of like staying in front of them. There's a moment later that's causing them to drop off, right? So you got to start thinking about it. Now, these are just an example of some moments, right? Because again, you need to list the moments that matter for your business. Okay. So some ideas, internet leads or first touch, right? That's that human contact moment. Pre-appointment confirmation. This is actually a place where we know a lot of people drop out of the funnel, right? They're excited. They set an appointment and the appointment rolls around. I don't really know if I want to talk to a salesperson anymore. Contract delivery, right? That can be a moment of a lot of friction or confusion. Answering questions, asking for referrals or asking for a review. That might be a moment in your business where you could really, really move the needle if you could start getting people to give you more referrals. Okay. So you got to list out those moments that matter for each of your stakeholder groups.
What's interesting about this, when I've actually done this in my work as well, is you start to get sort of like a web diagram, right? You've got kind of all of your stakeholders are sort of at the top, and then each of those have a few moments that you go, oh, I could improve here. Here's a point of friction. Here's where I can start to add some element. Now, don't get overwhelmed by that. In fact, if you've got a pen and paper out, or if you've got a notepad out, start doing this right now as we're talking through this. Start listing the stuff. Maybe it's some that we've given you, or heck, if you've got some other ones that have come up for you, throw them in the chat, right? Share that with us because it may trigger some things for other people as well. But don't get overwhelmed and going, oh my gosh, look at all of these points that I have to fix. That again is not the point of this. And we're starting very holistically, we're starting very big. And the reason is you're going to start to see as we continue to spread out and work down, certain ones of these are going to kind of light up for you and go, oh man, that's a big one. Oh, that's a little one that I can work on in the future. And we're going to start to continue to narrow this down. So don't get overwhelmed by going, now I've got 30 different points I've got to fix in my business. That's not the point of it. But we do have to have visibility into those in order to be able to identify and find the moments that are the most important, right? The moments that matter that you talk about. So.
Well, and another helpful way, and this actually came from Ethan just right before we jumped on this call, about this identifying the moments. And part of that framing is asking yourself that question, like, what do they need to think, feel, or do at this point in their journey to move them to the next place? Because if they're getting stuck here, right, they're obviously thinking or feeling something or not taking the action. So what is it that you need them to think? What do you need them to feel? Or what do you need them to do to move them on to the next step of the process? And how can we use video in that moment, right? That's sort of what we're trying to identify here, right? They're getting stuck because they're either not taking the right step or they don't feel comfortable or they don't feel that trust with you yet. And so what do we need to do to get them to move to that next place? Okay. All right. The third step of the BombBomb method is prioritizing these moments by revenue impact. Okay. So you just wrote down a whole bunch of moments, right? If you could only do one of these in your business to move the needle, what's going to make the biggest impact? Okay. So I want you to prioritize those moments by revenue impact. Okay. So you're going to prioritize them both by the stakeholder and the point in the funnel and that measurable outcome, right? But list them out by which is going to have the biggest impact on your business. Because let's start there, right? Like it might be great if you could, get more people to fill out Google reviews after you've done a transaction with them. But if that's not going to move the needle for you the most, then let's not start there. Let's start where this is going to move the needle. Go ahead.
Okay. How many of you are guilty of this? Because I'm going to put myself out there. You list out a bunch of things that you've got to take care of on any given day or any given these moments that matter. And you go, oh, well, that one would be the easiest. I'm just going to do that one first. I'm just going to check that off the list because I want to be able to leave the day going, wow, I did a good job. Good job, me, right? You did a lot. And then you look back and you go, man, all of the things that I accomplished were these little pebbly things that are good that they're done, but not the things that actually needed to be done. This was the kind of one of the aha moments for this whole method for me was going, all right, Kevin, don't take the easy road, take the important road, take the right road. And that I think is what's cool is we're giving you a direct way of here's how you can define that for you.
What the right road for you is.
Yeah, it's what are the moments in your business that you just defined the moments, we're not telling you those. What are the ones that are going to have the biggest impact on your revenue? I think anybody that runs a business, a small business, a big business will go, well, yeah, that's where I want to spend my time. But when you don't think about it this way, it's so easy to get lost in the, well, yeah, I'm getting a lot done. I'm doing a lot of things, but why isn't the needle moving? Well,
Yeah.
I'm working really hard all day, every day. Why am I not making more? Why am I not improving this? Why am I not being more efficient? I think this is such a wonderful way to start to go, these are the right things to focus on because we've identified them in a simpler way. And now we start to go, of all 15, 20, 30, whatever moments you just wrote out, what are the top 5 that will make the biggest impact, the most revenue impact right away for me? So I just, it definitely triggered something in me of going, man, I know I'm guilty of that, where some days I just want to be able to show myself that I got a lot done. And it's not necessarily the right stuff. This is a great way to define the right stuff.
Yeah. So I've got a couple examples there that we're just going to talk through to help it become clear for you. Okay. So this first example, let's say again, if the moment that you've identified where that would have the biggest impact in this first example might be the customer doing the next step once they have decided to move forward with you. Maybe you have a monthly subscription service and you have such a compelling offer that everyone signs up and you don't have any problem getting people to sign up for your monthly service. But then once they sign up for the monthly service, they don't actually utilize it. And so they cancel 2 months later or 3 months later, right? So if them taking the next step, right, would provide the biggest impact, right? So then, the stakeholder is the customer, the point in the funnel where they're having friction is the onboarding, right? And the measurable outcome that you can determine that you want to move the needle is them taking the next step, them using the product so that they renew next month. The same with a prospect. If you're finding that people aren't showing up for their appointments, right? People are scheduling appointments, but aren't showing up for their appointments. And this is a place where you think that would have the biggest impact on your business, then that's going to be the stakeholder as the prospect. The point in the funnel is in that education stage where you're helping them understand the value that you have. And the measurable outcome that you're going to be able to see is if they start holding more appointments. Hope that makes sense for everyone.
It's really interesting, Alicia. I was kind of typing and answering some stuff in chat right now because I think Christopher brought up a really great point. And Christopher, thank you for your vulnerability in this. He literally wrote, this is like intense for me. This is maybe too intense. I don't know if I can think this way. I don't know how to answer these questions. This might feel super overwhelming. I actually had a conversation with one of my coworkers here at BombBomb about some of the stuff we're trying to work on as a company as well. And we were talking about that. I'm like, man, sometimes we know there's a problem. It feels really big and intense and it feels overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And so first off, Christopher, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure you're not the only one that feels that way to a degree. It can be really scary to try and go, holy cow, what are all the answers to this? What I encourage you with is maybe just focus on one stakeholder right now. Yep. Go, what is my primary stakeholder? What is the primary moment that matters that I could improve on that stakeholder? Like really simplify this down instead of going all of them in 5 to 7 moments or whatever. Find one, start to narrow this down and definitely stick around because we're going to talk about something called the mini map that Alicia's going to introduce in a little bit. That's a really cool way to just simplify how to do video. So even if this feels overwhelming, I promise you that there's going to be some nuggets, but I just thought that was a good thing to touch on because we're talking about big stuff. This is intense, but we're at a crazy time in the economy in the US right now. I mean, we're in a crazy time in the world where a lot of us are feeling the pressure. We're feeling the heat because things have slowed down from what we've been used to, even through COVID and some of those times. And so really starting to ask yourself some of these big questions. Well, trust me, you can ask my wife. I'm the first to go hide in a corner when things get hard. But I think this is a great opportunity to lean in and go, all right, what's one area, what's one stakeholder, what's one moment that I can start to fix? And then when we talk about the mini map, it's going to give you some good strategies on that. So if anybody's feeling that, no, you're not alone in that for sure.
I love what you said there, Kevin. I love that you hammer that point home because it is really important that if you're feeling overwhelmed by that, listing out all of the stakeholders and all of that, what Kevin said, just starting with one place, one spot in your business where people are dropping off, which is a perfect segue into part 2, which is the BombBomb mini map. Because now, if you've been following along, or when you do this on your own, you've listed out some of those moments where you want to move the needle, right? Where you need someone to think something differently, you need someone to feel something differently, or you need them to do something different than what they've been doing. And this is all about finding the right who, what, when, and where to record your videos, okay? So we're going to come back to one of those ideas. Let's just start with a prospect, okay? And say that point in the place where they're dropping off is the appointment set, right? So the first part of the BombBomb mini map is to decide, who are you sending this video to? Are you sending this video one-to-one? Like my video to one person? Or is the video that you need to create here to move the needle in your business a one-to-many video, a video from one person that goes out to a whole group of people, okay? So this is that first thing that you need to identify, okay? That moment that matters in your business where you need to move the needle. Is this a one-to-one video, or is this a one-to-many? I'm going to show you an example of 2 different, just so that you have that really visually in your mind. This first video is it's a one-to-one, okay?
Hey, Cindy, it's Mike here. Just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. The market for you, I'm sure, is changing by the second. And I want to make sure that I'm changing what I'm doing to serve you as best I can right now. So tell me if there's anything specific that I can do for you.
Right. Hi, Cindy, it's Mike. One-to-one.
Good morning, QLMS partners. How we doing? Hope everybody had a great St. Patty's Day. I'm pretty sure I did. Is it, honey?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. It was fun. Back to work. I'm gonna make things happen. Just a few updates today. Dave Savage video, 2 o'clock on Tuesday, the 20th.
Very obvious that was a one-to-many, right? Hey, everyone. So the video that you need to start with to move the needle in your business, to make a revenue impact, is it a one-to-one video, or is it a one-to-many video? That's the first question you got to ask yourself, okay? The second piece of that mini map is deciding what kind of video it is, okay? Is this a personal video or an evergreen video, okay? So a personal video, both of the videos that I just showed you are personal, even though one was a one-to-many. What makes it personal, okay? Personal means that the person is recording it at one point in time to send out to, whether it's one or to many, but they're only going to use that video one time. It's personal. It has one use case, right? Even though it's a one-to-many, right? Sending out a video saying Happy St. Patrick's Day as an evergreen would be really, really confusing, because an evergreen video is a video that you can use over and over and over and over again, okay? So now you're asking yourself this question. That moment that matters, right? That place where people are getting stuck and they're dropping off or they're not taking the next step. In this moment, the video that you need to send to them, is it a personal video, or can this be a video that you use over and over and over again? Okay. For example, if after a demo call, people stop responding to your emails, then the moment that matters where you might need to start using video to help them feel, think, or do something different would be after the demo. But that needs to be personal, right? You can't use an evergreen video after a demo to practice active listening and remind someone of all of the great things you told them, okay? But this video that I'm going to show you, this is a lender. This is our friend Chris Brown. And this is an evergreen video that they use over and over and over again. Every single time the appraisal comes in, They use an evergreen video to explain what's happening to help people move through the process. So this is an example of an evergreen video. You'll notice that they don't say anyone's name. They don't give any specific information so that this video could be used over and over and over.
Hi, this is Kelly from the Chris Brown Mortgage team. I was checking my email and I do see your appraisal has come in and met contract price. That's awesome.
Congratulations. That's one of the bigger steps that, one of the hardest steps to overcome during this process. So congratulations on getting through that.
Yeah, that, as Tony mentioned, that's a big step, and you need to reach out and, either give your agent a big hug or a high five or something, because when they don't meet the contract price, when the appraisals don't, it can open up a whole can of worms that you aren't even going to have to worry about. So that is a definite blessing. So we're going to keep your momentum, keep moving forward, and let's keep that target of that closing date.
And I get to work with these guys.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
I feel like the Chris Brown mortgage team actually has some of the best evergreen videos. Chris has a evergreen video that he uses for internet leads that the video starts with him taking a bite of food and then looking and acting surprised that there's a camera there, right? That is an evergreen video that he uses as a first point of touch that gets really, really high response because it's so great. But that's just a note on evergreen videos, okay? All right, so the BombBomb
Method. Add one thing to that, Alicia. I think it's really important. When I first read this, I remember asking myself, well, wait a second, is it one-to-one and one-to-many the same as personal and evergreen, right? And so I think it's just a really good thing to continue to touch on, to go, a generic video, a one-to-many video can still feel very personal to that moment. It's a very specific video for those people. An evergreen video, I think, is a great example of this, is exactly like what you just said, like a frequently asked question of, I get this video from people all the time. Can I record one video that I could use to answer that question? Absolutely, right? I mean, a silly example could be something, if you are in the real estate space, hey, why do we need an inspection? Why is an inspection important? I can record a great video just talking about an inspection, what to expect in that whole process, and why it's important to both sides of the transaction. That is an evergreen video that is also a one-to-many that I can grab and use as needed. It's personal to that moment for these people, but it's an evergreen one that will be rinse and repeat every time people have those questions. So just a really good differentiation, I think, and I think this example perfectly describes it.
Well, and again, that who versus the what, right, is a really helpful way. Like, who, I'm sending this one-to-one or to a whole group of people at one time. Okay, what kind of video is this? Am I going to record it right now and use it over and over again? Or is this, am I going to record it right now and send it once? Or is this a video that could be used over and over and over again? Okay, now, the third piece of your BombBomb mini map is the when, okay? This might be the most confusing of all of them. So I want you guys to really, really pay attention, okay? So you've identified the moment that matters, right? The moment in your business that you need to move the needle, and you've identified, okay, who it's going to, right? You've identified what kind of video is it? Is it personal or evergreen? Now, and this is the really important part of building the habit, when does that video get sent and recorded? Okay, so time blocked. Let's say, for example, that the place that you really need to move the needle in your business is with your referral partners. Okay, maybe you want to time block every single Tuesday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. that you are going to send personal one-to-one videos to your referral partners, reaching out to them and being like, just thinking about you. Is there anything I can help you with? What kind of questions? You had a great week. Congratulations. Thank you so much for all you do for your clients, right? So time blocked means that you are going to block off time on your calendar to record these personal videos, right? That you need to record to move the needle. Okay. That's a time block. That's when those videos are going to happen. Time blocked. Now, triggered would be when this person does this specific thing or moves into this certain step, then they get the video. Now, could that be an evergreen video? Absolutely, right? Because the moment that their appraisal comes in at value for the Chris Brown mortgage team, that triggers, I think her name was Sarah. It triggers Sarah that it's time to send that evergreen video. Okay, so it's triggered by an event. Maybe it's triggered by you get a notification on your phone that someone just filled out a lead form. Okay, and so you're going to record a one-to-one personal video in that moment to introduce yourself to them. So it's triggered every single time this thing happens. Now they get that video. Okay. This is all about building this habit of consistency. So you've already decided what's the moment. Okay. Is it a one-to-one or is it one-to-one, one-to-many? Is it personal? Is it evergreen? Is it time blocked? Is it triggered by a certain activity? Or is it automated? Now, BombBomb has a really, really incredible automation for teams. In fact, the stats that you saw at the very beginning from our implementation with that organization was through an automated system. So you have to think automated as like whether it's your drip campaigns or your sequences, or like if you have every time someone fills out a lead form on your website, if they automatically get a response from your CRM, well, you could put a video in there, and that would be an automated video that you've recorded once, right? Automated are obviously going to be evergreen. Really important there. Automated are obviously evergreen. You can't record a personal video in an automation. So
fun chats coming in, Alicia, as you're talking through this, of people going, like Steve literally just wrote, oh, wow, just a thought, I could send an evergreen whenever an invoice is sent out and ask for a Google review for my business.
yes,
Example of that, right, Steve? I mean,
perfect.
you've got an evergreen video. So I did somebody ask if we could refresh on what an evergreen is. An evergreen is a video that is meant to be used time and time again. So I'm not saying, hey, Alicia, it's Kevin here. I'm saying, hey, it's Kevin here. I wanted to touch base about X, Y, and Z. So it's a video that can be used for multiple people at multiple times, right?
Yep.
So that's a perfect example, Steve, of a way to use that. One of the differentiations I like to think of between triggered and automated is a trigger is a situation that happens that reminds me I need to do something. Yeah. An automated one is something that happens that triggers my system that's already set up to do it, right? Yep. So those are great times. And we talk all the time. This is a big discussion about evergreen versus personal, automated versus doing hyper-personal videos. And honestly, I think there is absolutely space for both.
Yes.
It's really dependent on how do your systems work? What systems do you have set up? And kind of going back to some of those discussions we had earlier in steps 1, 2, and 3 of, you know, am I missing the human interaction? Can an evergreen be enough to provide that? Or do I need to, a great example I think you talked about is like an appointment follow-up, right? I hold an appointment with somebody. It's really a good opportunity to take a minute, record a personal video talking about some of the things we discussed in that appointment. They're going to feel that difference. However, an example that you could maybe do both would be an appointment confirmation, right? Yep. I can do a hyper-specific, really personal appointment confirmation talking about the date, the time, where we're going to meet at, what we're going to talk about, absolutely. I could also do more of an evergreen video that says, hey, so excited that you just scheduled this time. Here are some of the topics we're going to discuss, more generic topics, and take a look at the text below the video for all of the date, the time, the specifics for our appointment meeting. Can't wait to see you there, blah, 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 right? That's one video that I could use. It's an evergreen video. So it's just showing you, again, we're trying to give examples of different ways you could play this in, because there isn't always a right or wrong. There are times the personal really is going to be a better experience. But we want to get video in. The more people are seeing you, they're still getting that tone, they're still getting that emotion, they're getting to know you, they're building that rapport with you. So it's kind of that crawl, walk, run to a degree of crawling is just the text, the walking is kind of throwing an evergreen video. We're running, man, we're personalizing video all over the place, but we know that isn't always realistic. Yep. So this is just some different ways to think through that.
Yeah. And I want you to remember that all of what we're talking about here is about building a habit with one thing to start with, right? This is not you thinking about all of your business and being like, oh, now I've got to sort out all the, when I'm sending personal and triggered and automated, blah, blah, blah. No, we're starting with one place in your business that you need to move the needle, right? And so you're just making a decision right now about one video. Is it time blocked? Is it triggered? Is it automated? You're making a decision about one video, okay? And then this last part of the mini map is the where. Where are you going to send this video from, okay? So you can send a video from bombbomb.com from the web app. Some of you may have never, ever, ever logged into the web app and sent a video from the web app. Some of you may have only ever sent videos from the web app, okay? And there are use cases for some of you when sending from bombbomb.com from the web app is the best possible scenario. For example, you are a lender. You are on a team account. You have all of your legally required disclosures built in to your landing page and your template, and you are not allowed to send from anywhere else. Well, then you're obviously going to be sending from bombbomb.com, right? Like, so where are you going to send this video from? I would venture to say that most of you, bombbomb.com, the web app, is going to be the last place that makes the most sense for you to send from, okay? Maybe it's not, but for a lot of you, bombbomb.com may not be the best place for you to send, but for a lot of you, it may be if your lists are in there, right? If you've got a template and all of that, and you're already sending mass communication from bombbomb.com, then that probably might be the right place, okay? Where? Gmail or Outlook, right? So Gmail or Outlook is going to be a really, really good place for your time blocked or your triggered videos, right? So like if I'm inside of Gmail and I get that question, someone asks me a question in my email or whatever, well, it's going to make the most sense for me to reply to that video and answer that video directly from inside of Gmail or Outlook, right? I don't have to go somewhere else. I don't need to go to bombbomb.com. I don't need to go into my CRM and grab a template, right? If every single time someone asks this question or gets to this stage in the funnel, you're going to reply with a quick triggered personal video, well, then you should just do that from Gmail or Outlook. It makes the most sense, right? Are you sending this video from your CRM or one of our integrations? Right? That's a really, really great question, because if your CRM has a system that's set up as like a if then this, send this video, or if you have a system, your CRM flags you and tells you, every time, someone moves into one step of the process, or when it's their 6-month anniversary, or when their renewal is about to come up, right? Then you're probably going to send that from the CRM or the integration. Or if you have like sequences or campaigns set up in your CRM, well, then you're going to send that BombBomb video from your CRM. But again, we're just starting with, you're thinking about one moment that matters. Where are you moving the needle? Okay. And so does that video need to come from your Gmail or your Outlook? Is it coming from your CRM? Or is it coming from your mobile? Right? Like if the one place that you really, really need to move the needle is at like X point in the process when people start like getting confused and asking questions, and you've got that saved video on your phone that like, no matter what, every single time someone moves into a stage of the process, I'm going to grab that video from my phone and text it to them. I'm going to text it to them every single time they move into that stage of the process. I'm just going to grab that video and text it to them so that it saves us all a ton of time, right? So you're making this decision for one video. Who is it going to? What kind of video is it? When do I send it? And where do I send it from?
Woo. I really appreciate, Alicia, you're taking it nice and slow and being really tactful and strategic with these, because it does feel like a lot. I think these examples will be a really good way to kind of simplify this back down. So talk through these, because I think it's just a great way to go, oh, okay, I see how we made the decisions and why, you know, specifically to each of them.
Exactly. And then we're going to take questions. This was the end of it. So we're going to review this and then we're going to take your questions. But so here's an example of the who, what, when, and where for a loan officer, right? Who's maybe having people drop off through the process, right? They're not completing the loan process. Okay. So the video that you're going to do is educational content to move the needle. So who is that going to? Well, it's going one-to-one. It's going to that one person that has started and filled out the loan application, or has downloaded the loan application, but not filled it out or something, right? What kind of video are you going to send them there? Well, you're going to send them an evergreen video, walking them through the loan process and explaining to them every single step of the way, right? How to fill out that loan. And you're going to do it with empathy so they don't feel overwhelmed, but it's an evergreen video, right? When they're going to get that video? Well, it's triggered by the fact that they downloaded the loan application and haven't done anything with it for 24 hours, right? Where are you going to send that video from? Well, you're going to send it from your Outlook, because you're already communicating that with them in your Outlook. You sent them that loan application via Outlook, right? Okay, so that's just one example. Second example, maybe you're a real estate agent who does not get your clients showing up to your events or engaging with your emails whatsoever in any way. So you want to start doing a newsletter talking about what's going on in the community and providing them resources for all the fun stuff that's happening in your community. Okay, well, that's going to be a one-to-many or a one-to-all video, right? You're sending one video to your whole database. What is it? Well, it's personal, right? It's not evergreen, because you can't record a video about what's happening in your community this month and send it over and over every month, right? So it's personal. When? Well, that's time blocked. You're setting aside time to record that video and build the content to talk about what's happening in your community. Oh, where's it coming from? Well, it's coming from your CRM. That's where you've got all your contacts in. Okay, I hope that makes sense for everyone. This is your wrap up on all of the steps. Again, we're going to send this session out. We have resources available for you. Tora and Jen, if you want to throw those in the chat, there's 3 resources on the BombBomb Method. Okay. Number 1, we have a full blog post on the BombBomb Method. You can walk through it step by step. We also have a podcast recording on the BombBomb Method, which is a great way if you want to listen to podcasts. And then the third resource that we have on the BombBomb Method is a one-pager. We have a one-pager PDF that breaks it down for you step by step, okay? Here is your recap on the BombBomb Method and the most important piece, okay? You're going to list your key stakeholders. You're going to find the moments that matter. You're going to prioritize by revenue or impact. You're going to determine the best type of video, the record send path, and you're going to keep doing this one moment that matters over and over and over again until it's consistent, until you see it making the impact you want it to have, right? We talked about measurable impact. Don't start adding another moment until you're seeing the impact that you want from what you're doing. Okay. And once you start seeing the impact, once you start increasing that conversion rate, or once you start getting more people replying to your educational content, asking more questions, then you can pick another moment. Okay. Well,
I think that's huge, Alicia. I don't want to breeze through that point, because again, I know this information it feels like a lot when we're telling you to evaluate your entire business, right? I think that point of do the hard work, think through the hard things. Don't walk away from the hard things because they're difficult, but don't try to solve them all at once either. One of the areas that I think I especially learned helping people in sales is that when we try to put video in too many places at once, it gets overwhelming and we wipe our hands and walk away because it feels too hard. this start with one, focus on one, get great at one, and start to see the impact of that one area, that one video, that one point, that moment that matters is such a powerful one because it allows us to continue to take control of this moment. And it makes it really impactful to go, well, geez, here's where it was before I started video 3 weeks ago. And here's where I am now with this. I can start to see the impact of that versus doing a whole bunch of stuff in a bunch of random places and not really being able to measure the impact of those things. So again, just to narrow it back down, really, really try to hone in on that one place. The more consistent you can be with that one, it starts to feel good. It starts to feel doable. It starts to feel achievable. And then you can layer on that second one and still maintain the first one from the get-go, right? So just a really, really great point as we're talking about some bigger things. I know we've got some Q&A stuff here. And
we do. I want to say one thing before we jump into the Q&A, and that is, if you are the decision maker for a team or the admin for a team, and you are interested to hear about like our team's product and how we automated this for a company, how we are automating this BombBomb method in like a really, really powerful way for teams, let us know. I don't know the best way to do this, Kevin. I was thinking maybe we're going to drop Alicia.Baruti in the chat. BombBomb, if you are interested in hearing about teams, go ahead and email me alicia.baruti@bombbomb.com for more information about the team's product, because when we do this for a team, your team members aren't walking all through this. Our team does the business assessment with your admin, and then we prescribe specifically which videos your team needs to make. We give them scripting for it. We help them. And it's all set up in a really automated system. So the BombBomb method for teams comes with us helping you with the business assessment and prescribing those videos and all of that. So if you want more information about it, let us know. And let's get into some of these questions. If you have to go because it's the top of the hour, thank you so much for being here. We will send out the recording, grab those resources, but we're going to hang out and answer some questions for a few minutes.
Yeah, and I've actually seen a couple of themes that have been going on with questions as I've been monitoring this, because Alicia, you're doing such a great job explaining it. Really one of the big ones, I would say one, we've seen a lot around deliverability and some of those sort of questions. And Tara's been posting some great resources if you have questions about spam and deliverability and some of those things. So check in the chat if you've got questions specifically about that. But I've also seen a handful of questions about how can I deliver videos through BombBomb and how is it going to show up in different ways? And I'm generalizing a little bit, but I just thought, man, we can touch on this roughly very quickly depending on it. So one of them was around social media. Can I post videos to different social media pages like Instagram, Facebook, etc.? Yes and no. So it depends on the social media site, unfortunately. Ones that we can definitely post to: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Pretty much every time without fail, you can post videos to those different places. Now, the ones that we can't are things like Instagram and TikTok and some of those sites. Now, you may be asking why. Well, because those sites actually require that the content is uploaded to their site. When you're sharing content with BombBomb, we're actually hosting those videos. So we have the file basically in our closet back here that we're hanging on to, and we're giving you access to share a link to that file, right? So when it comes to Instagram, TikTok, some of those ones that honestly I'm big fans of as well, we can't share the link to those because they won't support it. They want that video on their site so that they can hold the traffic and the content and those sort of things.
The caveat to that, though, is that you can use video in Messenger in those places. You can use BombBomb in Instagram messaging, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, LinkedIn Messenger, any of those. You can use BombBomb in the messaging to communicate. But just like Kevin was saying, some of them, they will let you share the video to the platform. Some of them you won't. But truthfully, there is zero benefit to you whatsoever by posting a BombBomb video to your social media feed. There is zero benefit. whatsoever in any way. It's going to be more beneficial for you if you're uploading a video to Facebook natively to just put the video on Facebook. Now, again, the exception is if you're communicating in those spaces. Like I use the Chrome extension for communicating over Facebook Messenger and LinkedIn Messenger all the time.
Yeah, and LinkedIn Messenger even has a little BombBomb integration in it where you can literally click the button on your computer, record your BombBomb video without leaving LinkedIn at all. So great. Yeah. Thank you for calling that out.
I've seen a few about the texting thing.
Yeah, we've gotten a handful about texting. And so of course, it's not a just straight yes or no answer to any of these things. And part of it is that it's not just BombBomb's control. When we're using other devices, when we're using other systems, when we are trying to translate your video through these, there's a lot of people that have a say and a control over these. So with texting specifically, there are a handful of different factors that go into how will the video show up. Some people are asking, I've noticed that when I text it to another iPhone, I see a little preview. Sometimes it's just a link. Again, I'm not going to give you if you do this, it will always turn out this way because there isn't. But some of the factors that I want you to know about is device. What device are you using? What device is your recipient using? Android devices treat it differently, have different security preferences than iPhone devices. So those are some of the factors. Another one is cell provider. AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, Verizon, they all have different security measures where they're trying to protect. Now, I don't want you to think about these as like, oh, we can never get through these. These are all bad. They're really good things because they protect you from a lot of junk that you don't want to get. So they really are doing it to protect us as recipients, as their people. They're the ones, we're the ones that they care about because they're protecting us. We're paying them money, right? So these are different factors. I think, in my opinion, the biggest factor with how a video is going to show up in text is what is my texting relationship with this person?
Correct.
Have I ever texted this person before? Have we gone back and forth? Have we showed that there is an established amount of trust in this communication? If you communicate with somebody, text back and forth a handful of times, and then send them a link to a BombBomb video, you are much more likely for that video to show up as a preview. For example, if I send my wife a video, we text all the time. So of course it's like, yeah, here's the preview. You've proven that this is somebody that you want to communicate with. If I'm reaching out to one of you that I have never texted in my entire life, and I try to send a video, I'm going to count on that being a link. That is going to be my expectation in that. So the way to work with this, and not around this, but with it more, add text with your link. Don't just send people the link. Send them text that explains what this link is, who you are, why you're reaching out. I am a huge advocate of communicate where your clients want to communicate. So if they like to text message, send them text messages, but give them that explanation so they don't have to ask those questions and figure it out and go, is this safe? Is this not safe? Here's who I am. Here's what this link is below. Here's why it's safe for you. And here's why I think it would be really beneficial. Add that stuff. Give them that so they don't have to click the link to find it out.
And also, that's video best practices. We've been teaching for years and years. Even when you're sending an email, don't just send the video. You have to pretend that the person on the other end is stupid. They don't know what a video is. They don't know why they would be playing it. And you need to tell them, hey, Kevin, I recorded a quick video for you answering that question. Click on the link and press play on the video. Reply to, let me know if you have any questions, right? Best practices always state that you are putting a line of text with any video, letting them know what they're going to find in the video and telling them to press play. Same thing with your text messages.
Yep.
Let's see if there's.
Were you able to kind of find any things in here?
Yeah, I saw one about how much production value is recommended looking at upgrading lighting and sounds for evergreen videos. I understand your desire maybe for your evergreen videos to be a little more highly produced. It's not going to benefit you, Derek, or any of you that are listening. Here's the thing. There's a social psychology term called visual realism. Basically states that the more highly produced something is, the less we're likely to trust it. Okay. The more stripped down, real, authentic it is, it's easier for someone to trust. So maybe you're thinking that for an evergreen video of providing some, educational value about what you do or what your company does, and you'd like to have a more highly produced video there. I'm not saying don't do it, but the truth is that a more human, simple video without high production value is going to perform better there. The more human and authentic your videos can be, the less resistance to being sold that the other person will have on the other end. Okay. So how much production value? Get good lighting. Make sure that you're lit well. You can get an external mic if you want. You don't have to. I have an external mic for when I'm, recording sessions and things like that, but it's not necessary. The best thing you can do is focus on being human in that video to help move the needle on them and not worry about high production.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, all of those examples that we played for you today, none of those were fancy, right? They were pretty straightforward. One was lit a little bit more. He's kind of got a little bit of a setup that I think he works with on a regular basis, but it was no more effective than the three people sitting in frame kind of like this next to each other. In fact, that's almost more engaging, to your point. The only caveats to that would be if people cannot hear you clearly, that's going to be a negative experience. So if you don't have a microphone where they're hearing your words clearly enough, that may be worth a spend. Lighting, I think, is always one that you can spend $15 on. I mean, you don't need to go buy these lighting packages and backlight your wall and do all this fancy stuff. It really is just about the simplicity. You can see Alicia's kind of adjusting her little ring light that she's got right now, right? And
$20 ring light from Amazon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
It can give you a lot to play with. So it's a balance for sure. My recommendation is start with what you have and see what it comes out as. Don't go start spending money. One, because that's creating a hurdle for you to ever get a video out, because now you're waiting for all this stuff and all these technical setups and blah, 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 right? Use what you've got. I have actually been at home and just taken a lampshade off of a lamp and set it in front of me and turned it on because it was better than what I had. And I didn't want to go stop, right? So feel free to just use the tools that you have. Our computers nowadays have pretty decent cameras, have decent microphones. Try that first. And then if you need to go spend a little bit extra, $60 on a new webcam, like what we have, you can do those kind of things, but it's definitely not required unless it's detracting from the value and the message and people being able to hear and see and understand you. That's when it may be worth evaluating further.
Yeah. I saw some other random ones here. Is LinkedIn integration through the Chrome extension? That's actually a LinkedIn, right? I believe
that's directly through LinkedIn.
It's directly through LinkedIn. You can turn that on.
I don't believe it matters what browser you're on or what extensions you have at all. I think you can have that through there. One that I saw a handful of, and you mentioned something very early on about a nurture sequence, Alicia. I don't know if these people are even still here. Jared, Rick, Patrick, we got like 3 boom, boom, boom questions about nurture sequences. Do you want to give a very quick summary?
I mean, drip campaign, does that make sense for you? A nurture sequence is automated emails set up ahead of time that every single prospect, when they come into your funnel, gets pushed through that series of emails. So nurture sequence, drip campaign, whatever you want to call it. It's pre-recorded emails, right? That as soon as someone enters the funnel, they get dropped into that sequence and they move through and they get those emails at that point in time. I don't see anything else, Kevin. I see some one-offs here, like how much video is too much? What is the recommended length, seconds for videos? Those are tough questions to answer. In regards to, only your business, right? How much email is too much, right? How much communication is too much? That's the better question. Think about where video is going to increase, the communication, where it's going to make it better communication, richer. How much video is too much? Sending a video reply for something that is a 3-second email, right? The no, thank you. Yes, I'll see you then.
Yeah.
What is the recommended length seconds for a video? It depends on the type of video, right? If you're introducing yourself to a prospect, 45, 50 seconds is sufficient. Don't record a 3-minute video talking about yourself. If you're explaining something to a client, you're answering the question they really want to know. Who cares how long the video is? Answer the question, give them the information, save everyone a phone call, right? So
all of these answers go so much into our human-centered approach that we try to take here, right? Is what would you want if you were on the receiving side? Do I want a 5-minute video? Probably not. Do I want a 45-second video getting to the point of the question? Yep. Let's do that, right? Do I want just a quick text response because I don't need a deep explanation? It's like a yes or no question. Great, send them text. So just continue to think about the recipient that you're sending to. We can give you best practices all day long of they shouldn't go a whole lot over this, but think about that specific situation and who you're reaching out to and how would you want to be reached out to in that moment. Can I add the context with emotion? Great. Video is a great opportunity for this, and I'll keep it as short and sweet as I can. I'm not going to ramble for 5 minutes, so I think that's just kind of easy ways. I know it's generic, but some different ways to approach this stuff. So I think we've hit a lot of this stuff, Alicia. Are there any more pressing ones you're seeing pop up?
the only one I'm going to answer is Matthew, and then we'll let everyone go. Matthew said, my BombBomb has a single list of saved videos and I have to hunt for the evergreen videos that I want to use. Title your videos. When you find the video you want to use, Matthew, edit the video and rename it, okay? Title your videos so that you can find them. There's a search functionality in your video library. The best thing you can do is title it effectively so that you know where to find it.
Yeah, a secondary option for that, Matthew, is we have labels in there too. Create a little label on the left side of your screen that says evergreen videos. And that way, when you find one, drag it in there. You've got a folder you can go to find them real quick and easy. So yes, thank you all. You're amazing.
To end.
Thanks
Liza,
for
I love BombBomb. Liza, we love you too. Kevin and I say this every week. It really is. It's the best part of, every month. It really is the best part of my month. I love getting to show up here with you guys, with our BombBomb customers every single month. Thank you for your attention. We're going to send out the recording. You've got resources. We will put the links to the resources in the recording email as well. Okay.
Thank you all so much. We appreciate you. Dive into the hard stuff. Think about the hard things that we were talking about today, and then simplify it for yourself, right? Go big and then narrow down and focus on 1 or 2 things that you can really start to implement now. You will be shocked at how much relief that provides you, how much more consistency and habit building you have from this. But thanks for always trusting us. Thanks for sticking it out with us. Thanks for being part of the fam. We appreciate you all. We'll see you next month. Have a good one.
See you next month.